Hello and welcome back to the 816 at 660 podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos, and before I get into what the Chiefs did on New Year's Day, I want to talk about basically one of the worst actually, injury there's ever been in NFL history, a game that was completely stopped, may not even be played again, due to a heart stopping and a player going into cardiac arrest on the football field. Damar Hamlin, I know the support's pouring out for you. It's kind of emotional talking about it because you don't see a lot of those things happen. Guys will get injured and then they continue on to play typically during a game. But it was a good job by Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott to basically stop the game. And Sean McDermott kind of is paraphrased, but he said, I need to be at the hospital with Damar and not coaching this football game. A lot of support. You could see the craziest part is the GoFundMe. He was at like $3,000 or something on his GoFundMe page. Don't quote me on that, but it is now almost to $7 million donated. A lot of the NFL teams have donated to it. A couple other donors obviously as well, but now almost to $7 million for his charity, which is really cool to see the love and support that he's getting. It shook up everybody around the league. The players, because obviously they're humans too, not just players. Yeah, they're entertainment, but they put their bodies on the line every week. It's a violent sport. Obviously, you can see that's why technology and helmets is trying to become a lot better, and just a lot of things to protect the players. This way they can stay safe and healthy and make it all the way through a season. There's been updates on Damar, at least for today. I've seen some things where he's at 50% oxygen, starting to breathe on his own a little bit. He was able last night, I believe, to write some messages, squeeze his family hands, opened his eyes. So now that his eyes are open, that's good news. Pushing towards that full recovery. Will he ever play football again? We don't know, but the main thing is he's alive. He's still in ICU in critical condition, but he's working his way back, and I'm sure the University of Cincinnati Hospital is doing the best they can to continue to give him the best care that he can get. It really just shook me up. I teared up watching it because we as fans can take those things for granted. We want these guys to perform. People were worrying about, come on, let's get the game back on, but the NFL, I believe, they did a good job. Some people say, hey, it took a little bit longer than expected to completely cancel the game or at least postpone it. But I believe they did a good job, got things under wraps within an hour to be able to say, hey, we're not going to continue this game. All the support needs to be with Damar Hamlin, whether you're at the hospital, whether the teams are going back home, people watching the football game. So prayers up to you, Damar. We're praying for you three. I don't care if you're a fan of the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, and literally anybody in the NFL. Everybody's with you, and prayers out to this second-year player. Really good piece for the Buffalo Bills, so prayers up to you. Anyways, yeah, that gets me choked up a little bit. I'm sorry. Anyways, going into the game against the Denver Broncos, like I said, it was probably the Broncos' Super Bowl this year. They came in firing. You knew that was going to happen. It was like a 12.5-point favorite that the Chiefs were coming in the game. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. We weren't going to win by 2 touchdowns just because the Broncos always find a way to battle, especially when they come to Arrowhead. They like to sometimes possibly send the Arrowhead crowd home unhappy, but they haven't been able to do that to us in at least 16 games. The last time the Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs was when a guy named Peyton Manning beat them back in like 2015, I believe. So Patrick Mahomes has won 11 straight games against Denver. The other 4 were won by our man Alex Smith, the predecessor to Patrick Mahomes. So it was good to see. It was a well-fought battle. Patrick, people were saying, he didn't play that well. He was 29 of 42, completing 69% of his passes, threw for about 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, and had a quarterback rating of 106. And we were kind of sitting at the stadium and like, he's not playing that well. He missed Marquez Valdes-Scantling down the field twice to what looked like they would have been walk-in touchdowns if he would have hit him in stride. But he either underthrew him or overthrew him, and those are typically passes that Pat doesn't miss on. So it was like, wow, he's not playing that good, but he still had a quarterback rating of 106, which obviously says he still played well, played fine, got the job done. That man, Jerick McKinnon, I believe, set a record, the most receiving touchdowns in a 5-6 week span by a running back. So he's first in the NFL in that category. He's just been absolutely insane this year for the Chiefs. One of the good pickups we've had over the last 2-3 years. He's a little bit older, I believe, 32, 34 in that range, but it doesn't matter. The guy's still got an engine of a young football player. Some will call him Jet McKinnon. Speaking of Jet, McCole Hardman coming off the IR. That is huge. May not play a lot this coming Sunday against the Raiders, but he'll be on a snap count. Just to be able to get him back coming into the playoffs is huge to add another dynamic speed threat down the football field. Kadarius Toney, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 71 yards, was the leading receiver for the Chiefs, which was really good to see out of him. Just spread the ball around well. Pat, did his thing. Obviously, he was missing on, just wasn't able to get his feet set a lot, so he's missing on passes that he would typically hit. But you know what it is. He finds a way to battle. The offense always tries to find a way to roll. They get the job done. Awesome. Now, to the defense. Crazy. George Karlaftis is an animal off the edge. He's a rookie. I believe he has 5.5, 6 sacks on the year. And then having a guy and a veteran and Carlos Dunlap on the other side, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, CEO of Sack Nation. You know how he does. Just a threat in the NFL. Sometimes you could argue that he's the first best defensive lineman in the league this year due to Aaron Donald injuries. But I'm not going to argue with it. He's playing well. Kellen thinks that, possible defensive player of the year. He would have to catch a guy and Nick Bosa, a guy that's had 17.5, 18 sacks off the edge. But, he's still making an argument for himself, playing good football. L'Jarius Sneed, playing well at corner, got a pick this week. Did get laid out after his interception. He was seen at practice this week. Joe Thuney got hurt, rolled up on. He was seen at practice this week. But yeah, our guys are kind of banged up right now. So hopefully they're able to heal up come playoff time. But yeah, it's just been a real emotional week in the NFL. Trying to figure out, hey, are the Bills and the Bengals going to resume their game? Maybe they just cancel it completely. And the thing that's going to make some fans mad is, if the Chiefs do win on Saturday in Vegas, they have the most wins. They take the number 1 seed. People are going to be a little pissed off, like, well, that big injury with Damar cancels everything out, and both the Bengals and the Bills beat the Chiefs in the season, so they should be ahead. But if the Chiefs win more games, that's just kind of how it rolls, because it gives them a higher winning percentage at that point too. It sucks that that's how the Chiefs would get. I'm not going to be upset with getting the number 1 seed, but I wanted to get it in a way that I knew everyone was 100% healthy, able to battle all the way through, and that's just going to be the argument from Bengals and Bills fans, which I understand that's what it would be. It's unfortunate, but I'm ready for this last week of the season. Division opponent. People are going to say, yeah, we're going to go in and mess up the Raiders, but it's a division opponent. It rarely ever happens that we smack a team around like that. Last year, we handled the Raiders easily, but when they brought in 17 and Devontae Adams, that guy added a whole new arsenal of a game. I don't know if you saw some of his highlights last week. He had a hand in his face, ball juggled around with the corner, and he still came down with it, flat out diving for the football. Just an unreal athlete, but excited for what's to come in this coming week. Hopefully we just go in, get the job done, and do our thing. Get that number 1 seed. We'll be set for the playoffs, and here comes Arrowhead rocking. Overall, like I've said before, it's been a very, very emotional week in the NFL, but we are ready for Week 18. The Chiefs take on the Raiders this Saturday, 3:30 in Vegas. It's going to be a hostile crowd, hostile environment. Remember, Jarrett Stidham is the starter. Derek Carr has been out. kind of been dismissed for the team, so it wouldn't be a distraction, but it'll be exciting. It'll be best on best, L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie going up against Devontae Adams. You're going to have guys in Chandler Jones and Max Crosby coming at us from both edges. So Andrew Wiley and Orlando Brown are going to hold it down just a little bit for Pat to do his thing, back out of the pocket, find any open receiver downfield. Let's get that running game moving. Isaiah Pacheco got that touchdown last week. Not a lot of yards, though, like 30 to 40 yards on the week, but just keep implementing our running back by committee. They're doing their job. So let's rock into next week, Chiefs Kingdom. Red Kingdom, everybody stand up. We'll be ready for the playoffs. Divisional round if we don't get or wild card round if we don't get a first round bye, or divisional round if we do. I'm ready. I'm excited. Again, prayers up to you three, Damar Hamlin. Everybody's rocking with you. The whole world's thinking about you. All love to you, your family. Also, T. Higgins. Prayers with you well, because I know that's got to be a hard feeling to go through when you were the last person to make contact with him. Prayers up to you, man, too. I know you've been going through some stuff, too. So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in to 816, the 660 podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Deuces.